Hey everyone, Steve Goodall from FastLaneSuccess. This is the first video in a three-part series I'm doing, and this is off the back end of, it's turned out the majority of people, their life goal is to start a business. And one of the reasons they gave was that they didn't have time. So this video here is going to give you some pointers and some personal experiences that I've had myself. I've been, sort of creating and launching businesses for 25 years. More importantly, I've helped hundreds of other businesses grow more successful, launch successfully, get funding, etc. So here's the thing with the excuse of, I don't have time to start a business. And I've listed that as an excuse because it's a reason we give ourselves for not doing something. I don't have time to do that. We all have 24 hours in a day, obviously. And, people do start businesses every day. And, we can all think that our particular situation might be unique and, well, nobody has all of these things I have. The chances are that there are. And so what we've got to do is we've got to look at some simple steps and ways that we can actually carve out time, because you're not going to launch a business with just 5 minutes a day, okay? You need to put some time, and you need to get some of that time back. And I think we can find time in our everyday lives quite easily. Okay, so step one, social media. This is something that is, 15 years ago didn't really exist in our lives, yet we've made time for it somehow, and we've made a lot of time for it. A study recently was saying that the average American is spending nearly 2 hours a day on social media. So that's 10 hours a week right there that we're spending just on social media. But I thought what was more telling is that it turned out that when you actually then look at data consumption, we're actually spending, as Americans, 4 hours a day using the internet. And this is excluding work. And my advice, and this is something that I personally did as well, my advice is log out. And I'm not on about, going into some box and, just being ignoring to the outside world. But I found that when I actually physically logged out of those accounts, Facebook, sort of Twitter, Instagram, and we're on about this from a starting a business point of view. If you're wanting to start a business, you need that time, okay? By logging out, I was less inclined. Obviously, I didn't see notifications. I didn't see, any status updates that I had to like there and then. I all of a sudden found that I had time back. I went a step further when I was actually trying to, I was really trying to focus in on a business I was launching, and this was a couple years back. And I not only logged out of Facebook, I got rid of my cell phone. And I went back to a phone that was on my desk. And I realized nobody rings anybody anymore. Everybody is so used to texting everybody. I didn't hear from anybody. But I logged out of Facebook as well. I logged out of everything, and I had time. It was incredible, and it wasn't just from starting the business point of view. It was also other things. I all of a sudden I was much more engaged with my kids and my family, and we'd go out to dinner, and there would be more of a conversation going on. So step one in all of this, and my biggest recommendation is, if you're on your Facebook account, go up to the settings and click log out, because that extra step of you having to log back in to check something will become a weaker and weaker necessity as the weeks go on. And it did. It made a huge difference. And I mean, you get back an extra between 2 and 4 hours a day. That's business launch time right there. I mean, if you could spend 2 hours a day on building your business from zero and getting to launch it, plenty of time. Okay, so let's move on to the next step, step number 2. Okay, so step number 2 is email. I know it's still kind of internet style stuff, and I'm not on about work email. When you're at work, I get it, you have to check your email. I'm on about your personal email, the links to the news stories that your friends send you, other things. We're bombarded. We're just bombarded. And so with email, and I say this to any of my clients as well, when it comes to the personal email, if you're still working for somebody at that point, check it during your lunch break, but do it once a day. Believe me, there is nothing important happening in your email that requires you to check it every 10 minutes. And when I see studies where we're checking our social media and our email on average 17 times a day, we're just filling our time. So like I said, so this step with email, check it once a day. Don't check it when you first get up in the morning either. Again, it's not really that I'm trying to save you time there, but what happens is that that's on your mind before you even start doing work, and it kind of it shifts all the priorities a little bit. Okay, so this next one is actually a pet favorite of mine, and it's something I say to whenever I'm talking to somebody who wants to start a business, and especially when the idea of time has come up. I tell people you need to stop being a consumer and you need to become a creator, and there's a very, very big difference here. And I generally get a look of, what are you going on about? When you are watching TV, you're a consumer. However, you can try and convince yourself that you're being educated and whatever you're watching, you're a consumer. The whole reason that program is there is to be able to keep you there so you can watch an advert, so you can sort of see something you want, something you desire. The whole point of it is to keep you being a consumer. When you're a consumer, you are spending money. And when you're trying to launch a business, businesses don't launch by just being consumers. Okay, what happens is that all of those companies that are trying to sell you are creators. And this is the mind shift you've got to change. If you speak to, and over the years, I've spoken to hundreds of sort of successful people. I've spoken to at least a couple dozen millionaires, and there is a trait that runs in all of them. If you ask them what they like on TV, most of them can't tell you. Most of them will say, I don't know, I catch a bit here and there. Americans on average are spending 5 hours a day watching TV. That is a frightening amount of time. So when we have the excuse of, I don't have time to start my own business, that's because you're being a consumer and you're just sat there not doing what you could do to actually better your life. I have shows I like. Do I care if I miss them? Not really. TV to me, it's on. If it's on, I'll see something if I'm there. But I prefer that I'm trying to create something, whether it's a video or it's a book, or I'm doing sort of research on something, or I'm sort of really getting stuck in with sort of a client's project to launch their business, or perhaps troubleshoot a business that they've got. That's what I love doing. So the thing I would really push with the whole idea of stop being a consumer is to think about your TV habits. And I've heard it constantly, of like, well, I've got to watch, this is my show, I got to watch that no matter what. Nothing will change in your life if you don't watch it. What's going to happen is you're going to get more time back. The TV program is not going to go bankrupt because you don't watch it. The advertisers are not going to have a meltdown because of it. You're not going to be missed if you stop watching TV. But what is going to happen is you're then going to spend that time on you, and you're going to be able to launch your business and gain your business and grow it. I think the the other issue I have about sort of a TV, and don't get me wrong, I mean, I used to love watching TV. I started to see more and more of it as just a drain on my time. But the TV's there it's purely there to set you up to keep being a consumer. They show you the latest phone that you need. They show you the latest product you need, and how this improves your life and how that improves your life. And the whole time, 24, every waking minute, we're bombarded with advertisements telling us we need this in our life, we need that in our life. And, so when you've got the choice, when you're out just driving in a car, you can't help. There's billboards around and so forth. When you have a choice, if you're making that choice to sit there, and I hear, well, I've had a hard day at work, I need to relax, and I need to just chill out, and I totally understand that. You don't need 5 hours chilling. And I think if most people are honest with themselves, I know if I do sit down and watch TV, it'll be for at least an hour. You know, that most shows are 45 to, 45 minutes to an hour long. That's it gone. So the faster you can change your mindset from being a consumer to starting to become a creator, you will realize the shift. And I promise you, you go and speak to anybody that you can find that that is highly successful in their life, and ask them how much TV do they watch a day. And you will get answers between, I never watch TV, or I might catch, maybe 10, 15 minutes every day. Okay, so let's move on to the fourth step. So we've covered 3 already, 2 more to go. Okay, so number 4 is burn the midnight oil. Now, I disagree with a lot of articles I've seen written on this subject. The articles tend to say, get up an hour earlier and focus on that, and get an hour's of work done. I can get up early. It's not a problem. Am I very productive first thing? No, not really. My advice is always stay up later. And this, like I said, this goes against what you'll ever hear. But if you go to bed at 10 o'clock or you go to bed at 11 o'clock, I think the later you normally go to bed, you probably need to start reducing how much extra you stay up. If you're up till 2 o'clock every morning, you need to do something different with your life if it's just been watching TV. So if we're reducing our TV habits down and we're going, okay, we can go to bed between, sort of 10 and 11, and you need that extra time, then stay up an hour later, stay up half an hour later. If you pre-plan what you're going to do for that half an hour with regards to starting a business, and I'll talk about this in another video of how you break down the steps of starting a business. It's amazing what you can do with a very focused, sort of half an hour or so. So, okay, so we're now on to the last step. So we're going to move on to step 5. So step 5 is really looking at changing a mindset that you're in. If and again, this applies to, I don't have time to start a business. You do have time, okay? And the chances are that your TV time, you now need to turn into, you need to reevaluate your me time. And TV watching time is your me time, and you can use, excuses like, well, that's the only time, sort of me and my girlfriend get to sit down, or me and my wife get to sit down or sort of with the kids or whatever it is. Here's the thing, if you're all sat down watching the TV program, you're not communicating with each other at any rate. So I would never accept that as an acceptable excuse. You need to transfer this idea of the me time into me time that will allow you to produce and run your business and start to become a creator rather than a consumer. So here's my point in all of this. Let's say you have 2 must-see TV shows per week. So there's 2 hours right there. Cut one of them out, okay? So that's 5 hours you've got a week already. Now, when we look back and we go back on the whole social media side of things, and we go, okay, well, if you are the average person, and I don't think anybody just looks at social media for 2 hours, I think it's closer to 3+. Let's say you log out, and let's say you still do log in once a day, but let's say we gain an hour from that. Okay, so we're now at 10 hours a week we've gained, and we haven't changed anything radically in our life yet. I have started businesses. Total amount, I spent maybe a couple hours each day for 2 weeks, and I have built a business that had lasted for years, as an example. With 12.5 hours a week now that you've freed up, you can start that business. That life goal of, I want to start a business but I don't have time, you've just gained at least 12.5 hours a week, at least 12.5 hours. Okay, so we're going to move on to the next one, which is how to start a business if you have 0 money. So click the link below or at the side, wherever it is now, and I'll see you in the next video.